What's good, Fight family? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be talking about something a little bit different than the usual. We're going to be talking about Sean Strickland and this bind that he's in. So Sean Strickland, of course, former UFC middleweight champion, current #1 ranked middleweight contender on the planet, recently just defended his #1 contender spot as well in a fight with Paulo Costa. He's kind of being gypped by the UFC. It would seem that they really just do not want him in the title picture at all. I don't think the UFC ever enjoyed having Sean Strickland as a champion, especially not Dana White. I think Dana White doesn't even like Sean Strickland, but we'll get into that later in the video. And because of this, they are trying to do everything they can to make it so he doesn't fight for that belt. They would like him to now fight Robert Whittaker for a #1 contenders match. And I'm actually seeing a whole lot of fans, probably 80%, 90% of the fan base are on board with that idea. They want Sean Strickland and Robert Whittaker to fight for whoever will be able to fight for the belt after Adesanya and Dricus du Plessis, which is kind of crazy to me. It just shows you how fucking fickle fans are of this sport, and it makes me low-key despise to be a part of the MMA fan base sometimes. Because all of you guys, all of you were just meat riding the fuck out of Sean Strickland for the last, God knows how long, at least the last fucking 6 months, bro. And then now all of a sudden that he wants to stand up for his own right to fight for the belt. He's proclaiming that he's already defended his #1 contender spot. He lost a bullshit split decision that took his belt from him. All facts. He does everything for the company that they ask him. All facts. Now he just wants to sit and wait for his title shot. He wants to wait out Dricus versus Adesanya, see who wins that, and then get his matchup offered to him based off of that. Either way, he'll be in the title picture, and deservedly so. When it comes to Adesanya, one of the greatest middleweights of all time, he beat Adesanya, clearly. When it comes to Dricus, he arguably was robbed in a split decision loss. I don't think I've ever seen somebody be in the position that Sean Strickland is in right now. I've been racking my brain all day trying to think, like, what does this remind me of? It kind of reminds me of Leon Edwards' situation, where he was on like a 10-fight win streak, and he just decided that he wasn't going to accept any more bullshit matchups he was given. He was just going to wait for his title shot, which did ultimately pay out for him, but for years, fans hated him. Dana did the most to try to make it so, like nobody wanted to pay attention to Leon Edwards during that time period because he wasn't happy about the game that was being played. But even that situation is different because despite the fact that Leon was the clear-cut #1 contender, he had not ever been a champion. He never dominantly beat a champion, none of that. So automatically he's in a different stage than what Sean Strickland is in. And then I tried to think, who else? Robert Whittaker and Max Holloway are the only two fighters in the last 5 years that were essentially the uncrowned champions for a long time in the last couple of years, up until I'd say 2023, mid 2023, 2024-ish. Max Holloway was basically the interim champion of featherweight, and Robert Whittaker was basically the interim champion of middleweight. Both those weight classes had champions that were dominant and defending their belts all the time and beating the best. But these guys in Robert Whittaker and Max Holloway were clearly at that level beating everybody else. It's kind of like there was just champion 1A and 1B. But even still, their situations were different because they aren't coming off of a dominant win over a champion and then a split decision loss that a lot of people thought they won. Max Holloway, he actually did come off of a split decision loss to Volkanovski in their rematch that a lot of people, including myself at the time, thought Max won. But at the same time, that's a split decision loss to somebody that you clearly lost to when you lost your belt in the first place, if you're following me right now. Max Holloway lost his belt to Volkanovski, and then that rematch happened, and he lost again, but arguably won. That's not the same thing as what's happening with Sean Strickland here. And that's why I just think it puts him in such a unique position, in a position where the fans should actually be, they should have his back. They should be on his side. You were just on his side, meat riding him when he was the champion and when he lost his belt. Even when he lost his belt, everyone was still meat riding him, myself included, because I don't think that he lost his belt. But the second this guy proclaims, hey, I don't think I lost my belt. I think I got robbed by the judges and the commission. And now I just defended my #1 contender shot against Paulo Costa, who was a dangerous top fiver himself. I deserve to just sit out and wait. But everybody is on his dick saying, no, you do not deserve to sit out and wait. Take the fight with Rob or get skipped along. How does that make any sense to anybody? Please, if you genuinely believe that, put it in the comments below, because I'm clearly hot about this topic. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm on Sean Strickland's side. He just recently came out, posted something on Twitter, something along the lines of just reiterating what I said, like that he has beaten both these people, and that, you know, Robert Whittaker, he said something like you're 0-3 in title talks. Kind of fair. Not to mention, when's the last time we watched Sean Strickland just get starched, put out bad? It's been a minute. It was from Alex Pereira. And it's like, of course that fucking happened. You try to kickbox with Alex Pereira, who's a giant and a kickboxer. Ever since then, though, and even prior to that, it'd been a long time since we watched Sean Strickland get washed. We just watched Robert lose to the guy that's champion right now. Just because he knocked out Ikram in the first round, that doesn't mean that I want to see Robert back in the fucking title picture immediately. I really don't. In a perfect world, I think I would like to see Sean versus Robert, but it would need to be in circumstances that aren't like these. I would need to see Sean go in for that title shot and lose to Dricus or lose to Adesanya clearly for me to want to see him versus Rob for a number 1 contenders matchup. It just, to me personally, doesn't make all that much sense. If you guys can think of a situation that I haven't brought up that is similar to this one, please bring it to my attention, because I feel like there's something that's happened like this before, but it just must have happened a long time ago that I'm spacing on it. Either way, unique position. I would say Sean Strickland is in a bit of a bind. I don't know what the UFC is going to do from here. They might goad him into taking that fight with Robert. You know, I could see that happening. I could even see them giving Robert the title shot for whoever wins with Adesanya versus Dricus. I could see them, you know, doing Sean pretty wrong. It's just kind of the UFC model. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, as much as I love the UFC and I love the sport, they really do treat some of their star athletes and their star talent like dog shit. You know, something about the way that they talk about Sean, the way that Dana like tiptoes in the media around him and just never seems to like just give him a break despite all that Sean's done for the company. It reminds me a lot of how he would talk about Nick Diaz back in the day. It reminds me a lot of how Nick Diaz was treated in general back in the day. Just unfair bullshit. And I don't think it's a coincidence that these stars that are like genuine, real, no facade type people that end up blowing up in the UFC, like a Nick and a Nate, it's not a surprise to me at all that the UFC does these people the most dirty. It's the easiest to do people like that dirty, unfortunately. But the fans always do stick behind them. And I do see a lot of people coming to support Sean Strickland, agreeing with the fact that he should wait out for the title shot. I mean, let's be real, guys. If you were the person in that position, what would you do? You know, you're probably going to wait out for your fucking title shot, especially if you just took that fight with Paulo Costa and won. But, you know, that's my thoughts on this situation. I do hope that it gets sorted out soon, because I just like seeing Sean Strickland fighting. I like seeing Sean Strickland in the mix. It adds a lot more excitement. We need our stars in the sport. Dana, please stop fucking killing our superstars, because we don't have too many. We need to keep them around. That's going to be all for me today, though. I'll catch y'all.